Here we go again, stove minders. January 28th, and I'm still mopping up the mess from a couple days ago when the Major League Baseball hot stove boiled over with just moves on moves all day, different teams, different players. It's been a lot to digest, and it's my fault for not, keeping on top of it. But here we are today. I want to talk about the other stuff that happened that was not related to JT Realmuto. If you want to check out that video, it's somewhere in the annotation or the description, or you can find it. You're a smart guy, eh? Okay, let's start off with the Toronto Blue Jays, who going into this offseason were so aggressive. We're like, yeah, we're going to sign this guy and that guy. Well, here's another guy to add to the list that already includes George Springer and Kirby Yates. I'm talking about infielder Marcus Semien, going to the Jays on a 1-year, $18 million contract. Semien is an 8-year MLB veteran, mostly with the Oakland Athletics, a career .254 hitter. He can run the bases, about 200 runs scored between 2018 and 19, a 30, if not 40-plus doubles kind of guy, and he even tries to steal. If you look at Semien's yearly OPS plus, or his yearly weighted runs created plus, you'll see that's almost always been in the 90s, which is just below average, but it's always there. Hey, baseball loves consistency, and Semien has been reliably all right over most of his career. The one outlier was 2019, heck of a season where he finished third in AL MVP voting. Defensively, again, a mixed bag. No pluses until about 2018-19. 2 years when Semien accounted for a total of 26 defensive runs saved on average, above average, as the Athletics shortstop. But as a Blue Jay, the NorCal kid will have to play second base, as blue chip prospect Bo Bichette is at short. That'll move Cavan Biggio to third, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to first base /DH, where he belongs. So a bit of peace of mind there for manager Charlie Montoyo. I mentioned after the Springer deal went through, the Blue Jays have a lot of moving parts, but it's nice to get a veteran like Semien to pair up with some of these younger core players coming up. And Semien, arguably in his prime at 30 years old, still looking for a ring after playing for the underachieving Brooklyn A's, who decided not to grant Semien an $18.9 million qualifying offer. And another team who can't even play at home games because it's another country got him for less. And yes, $18 million for an okay hitter is an overpay. It's a mixed bag, as I said, with Semien as a baseball player. Some people love him, some people don't. The metrics say this and that, but in general, I think he has a good reputation. And you know what? This is what the Blue Jays said they were going to do, right? They needed an infielder. Their luxury tax payroll is only at $143 million. After this trade, though, with Steven Matz coming in on a trade, that's going to change a little bit. But still, it's only a 1-year deal for Semien. Why not, eh? Why not? GM Ross Atkins wants to talk big, and with a move like this, he can. Not as exciting as it could be. We'll have to see how Semien plays in 2021, really. Matter of fact, the Athletics did not make Semien a formal offer at all. But here's what they floated to him: 1 year, $12.5 million, with $10 million deferred in 10 1-year installments of $1 million each. So you'd make $2.5 million in salary next year, and then $1 million a year for 10 years when he's not even playing on the team. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I understand Moneyball, but like from the player's perspective, I'd be like, screw this shit. I don't care if I have to play at the Blue Jays spring training facility. At least I'm on an exciting up-and-coming team that's actually trying to do something and spend some of that Rogers Telecom money instead of, sitting on their ass. Allow me to continue burying the Oakland A's here. So they've lost Semien, one of their best hitters over the past few years. They lost their star closer, Liam Hendricks, to free agency. And now they can say bye-bye to Tommy La Stella, going to the San Francisco Giants on a 3-year contract with $19 million guaranteed. I love this move, not just because La Stella's a quality hitter, But the fact the Giants scooped him up for just $6.3 million a year on average from their crosstown rivals, the Athletics, who refuse to spend money to get some weight around what's been a talented roster year after year. That's a good player developing organization that, under Moneyball dude Billy Beane, has gone 17-30 in the postseason since Beane took over in 1998. They've won just 2 playoff series, including this past expanded wildcard series where they beat the White Sox. They've lost multiple one-game wildcard playoffs. And they will continue to choke when it matters most, when they can't retain good players and they have to rely on midseason trades like the ones they made for La Stella this past year. Can't wait for them to have to trade Matt Olson and Matt Chapman so those guys can go and actually try to get a ring. All right, so New Jersey's own La Stella has come away from being a scrappy bench bat with the Chicago Cubs back when I used to watch him, and he was good in that role with the Cubs. But after a down year in 2018, he was unceremoniously dumped to the Angels for a player to be named later. Not a good trade during the Theo Epstein era, after which La Stella turned it up as a part-time player, which he's always been, just as a note. Over the last 2 seasons with the Angels and Athletics, he's hit a collective .289 with a .356 on base, 122 OPS plus, better than career average, but even those numbers are solid at .274 batting average over 7 years and a .349 on base. La Stella is not a power hitter per se, but there's a little pop there. And with a career strikeout rate under 11% that has gone down over time, you gotta love the batting profile of Tommy La Stella. Defensively, though, he's below average, which is maybe the biggest reason he hasn't had a permanent starting gig. La Stella plays second base and third, and the Giants have Evan Longoria making $13 million at third, so La Stella will probably see more reps at second, which would then bump 2020 breakout Silver Slugger Donovan Solano into a rotational/bench role. The two can even form a platoon if they want, as Solano is a righty and La Stella is a lefty. So for the Giants, there's a lot of infielders to consider for manager Gabe Kapler, who I'm sure will love La Stella's tough-out style. This is actually the longest contract at 3 years tendered by President of Baseball Operations Farhan Zaidi since he was hired by the Giants in 2018. Oddly enough, just third offseason at the helm, and Zaidi finally making some moves, not just this one, but some of the other additions to the rotation that the Giants made earlier this winter. I like this deal. I like La Stella. I like how his agency is called the Beverly Hills Sports Council. That's badass. And the Giants will have him around for a few years as San Francisco tries to rise. It's just not a perfect fit. They could stand to add an outfielder more, but the offseason is not over yet. I do like the length. I do like the yearly value. I do like La Stella. And the shortstop market, the middle infielder market, was far from done this past week. Because going to the Minnesota Twins is shortstop Andrelton Simmons on a 1-year deal worth $10.5 million. I was hating on the Twins for not doing much this winter, and here they go, making a pretty good signing in terms of fit. Listen, who doesn't love a glovesy shortstop? That's Simba for you. 4-time Gold Glover, 9 seasons, 191 defensive runs saved above average. That's 21 runs a year on average that Simmons prevented. And the guy's an all-right hitter. Career .269 batting average and 90 weighted runs created plus, 91 OPS plus. Good contact, no power. And remember, the Twins have a decent lineup, albeit with Nelson Cruz and Eddie Rosario, both free agents. Now, Andrelton also hates striking out. Just 9% of his career at-bats have ended in a K. Defensively, Twins do fine with Josh Donaldson at third, but the rest of the infield, Jorge Polanco, their old shortstop, Luis Arias, who was their second baseman last year, and big first baseman Miguel Sano have all been minus fielders. So a precise upgrade that will move Polanco to second and Arias into a rotational role, as he can also play third and left field, according to GM Thad Levine. All good because Simmons has dealt with several injuries in recent years. Depth is preferred, and that can also explain the fact this is only a 1-year contract. Those might not be the only changes in the lineup card for Minnesota. With the addition of Simmons, who becomes their third highest player at just $10.5 million a year, the thrifty Twins might not be as open to re-sign designated hitter Nelson Cruz or outfielder Eddie Rosario, both of whom have contributed plenty of the plate in recent years. Or the signing of Simmons could convince Cruz to accept the 1-year deal that the Twins prefer, while Cruz is pining for a 2-year deal. The offseason is not over yet for GM Thad Levine. We'll see what they got left. Okay, let's whip through some smaller signings that went down. Cleveland Indians re-signed their second baseman Cesar Hernandez to a 1-year deal plus an option guaranteed at $5 million. Hernandez has quietly been a solid ball player, talking a .277 career average over 8 years, .352 on base. He's a Gold Glover. But how does this help, given the Indians received 2 middle infielders in the Francisco Lindor trade, Andres Gimenez and Ahmed Rosario? One of them is going to have to move. Unless Cesar Hernandez is going to be a part-timer. I kind of wish Cesar would have signed elsewhere, given his talent, but whatever. It's the Cleveland baseball team. They don't want to win. And speaking of teams that don't want to win, the Baltimore Orioles. Yes, the Orioles. I haven't spoken about them at all. They signed shortstop Freddy Galvis to a 1-year deal worth $1.5 million. I mean, he's okay. He's durable. He played in all 162 for 2 straight years in 2017 and 18. Yeah, I got nothing to say. The Orioles blow. Galvis is leaving the sinking ship on the Ohio River. That is the Cincinnati Reds, a team deep in the rebuild. Reds have been shopping for a shortstop while simultaneously putting out trade feelers on all their best players. They get nothing as far as good shortstops who flew off the board in a matter of hours. Reds lose. Who cares? I care. What a wildfire of a Tuesday. And one more move I just wanted to whip up here is Wilson Ramos, the catcher, going to the Detroit Tigers on a 1-year, $2 million deal. Not long ago, Ramos was one of the better hitting catchers in the league. In 4 years, from 2016 to 19, Ramos batted .294 with an .808 OPS, heavy on the slugging. He had 2 All-Star nods and a Silver Slugger in that span with the Nationals, Rays, Phillies, and Mets. Damn, he's been around. Even earlier in his career with the Nationals, he was usually an above-average hitter. So great news for a Tigers team that was offensively subpar across the board. However, Ramos has not been that good behind the plate, and the Tigers have a couple young catchers on their 40-man roster already. And old Miguel Cabrera isn't going anywhere at DH. He's still under contract for 2 more years. Hence the low salary for Ramos, who should be able to find his way for more playing time just on paper. The deal's not final. I don't think there's any incentives. But it's an all right signing for the Detroit Tigers. Maybe not the best deal for Wilson Ramos, but we'll have to see what happens in Michigan. And there's some other stuff I'll leave till the next video just because we're running a little long here. I think Darren O'Day signed with the Yankees. And if you look at it from the perspective of they just traded Adam Ottavino, they saved a bunch of money to bring in the submariner, Darren O'Day. I touched on the Toronto Blue Jays trading for Steven Matz. I think they sent 3 pitching prospects to the Mets. Interesting move there. I guess Matz is owed $5 million upcoming, so this could be some people are saying this is a move by the Mets to try and bring in Trevor Bauer. We'll see how that goes. I don't think the Jays are going to go be in for Bauer. Their president, Mark Shapiro, said that heavy lifting is done for them this offseason. They did need starting pitching, so to acquire Matz with the amount of cap space that they have, I think was a good move. They're just going to need Matz to deliver, because while he has in the past, he's also struggled with injuries lately. I'll get more into that. Masahiro Tanaka also said, screw this, I'm going back to Japan. Fair enough. And I'm going to go eat some lunch. Fair enough.